Imagine you're in a courtroom, fighting for your life. Gavel in hand, the judge waits for you to say something, anything. The jury's expectant, they do not know what to think of you. You finally realize this is your only chance at making a case for yourself. But how can you make sure they believe what you say? Evidence. Activities are the evidence that demonstrates your passions, desires, and motivations. Those aspects of yourself that make you stand out from other applicants and show your unique self. Today, we will learn the 3 most important tips to build a strong activity list, one that demonstrates key traits that universities often look for. These traits include, but are not limited to, leadership, creativity, determination, consistency, and impact. And it is not only about what you tell, but how you tell it. So, let's dust off our storytelling skills and give university something to remember. Our aim is to jump from a mere succession of events to an irrefutable proof that you should be accepted to your dream universities. Here we go. 1. Prioritize quality over quantity. Through time, it is much better to develop 2 or 3 compelling interests than to showcase a bunch of short-term and low-impact activities. For example, I often see our students trying to portray an impact in their community with a few hours of volunteering. This is like telling the jury that you're a charitable person by donating a few days before the trial. It just doesn't work. This is even more important when you think to yourself, how important is it for the admissions officer to remember you? If you have too many small activities or traits, none will stand out. You can effectively become a blur. So make sure to create a cohesive narrative by showcasing how 2 or 3 activities or traits may tell your story. 2. Display evolution. Putting this process to the side, each of your activities should be a chance for you to grow, learn, and consequently improve on a specific area of your interest. Showcasing that transformation is an amazing narrative. Activities that display evolution will show the jury who you are. Are you passionate and persevering? Have you left an impact? Is this who you really are? To truly display evolution, I always recommend my students to pursue their passions and dive deeper. Let's see some examples. If you have been participating in a service project, you could take the leap and create your own social venture. If you're engaged in climate action, you could publish a research paper on the psychology behind its awareness. If you're passionate about creative writing, submit your works to international competitions. You could even try to write a book. One of my students actually did. The possibilities are endless. Evolution demonstrates motivation and interest. Above all, by showing evolution is the way to engage with your interests. You will prove to the jury what you can do with what your university will teach you. 3. Stand out. When I talk about this, I often see confused faces staring back. What can I do to stand out and showcase this notion of uniqueness? In my case, this activity was soccer. Okay, you're right. Soccer is not very unique. Not at all. But uniqueness and standing out, in this case, are about telling a memorable story through your activity. And an activity can be developed to portray this. I believe I stood out due to the immense amount of time and effort I dedicated to the sport. I trained daily and even went on to play international competitions. I also became part of the varsity team from a very young age and became team captain when I got to my senior year. I stood out. My story stood out. It told the jury and the judge that I was passionate, determined, consistent, and impactful, with a dollop of leadership. Activities are your opportunity to win this trial. So think, what story do you want to tell? And how do your activities prove it? We have talked about quality, evolution, and standing out. There is one more concept you should be familiar with. Universities, within their holistic application, often look for a well-rounded candidate with a spike. What do you think this means? Imagine you were equally good at demonstrating several aspects universities look for. You could show a bit of volunteering, a bit of academic achievement, and a bit of cultural involvement. Each of these would pull from an imaginary specific point with equal outward strength. You would get a circle, a well-rounded candidate. Now, what if you had an element that pulled with much more strength than the rest? What would that look like? In terms of skills, talents, and activities, this would translate into having a spike. Can you identify the factors that help you build one? Quality, evolution, and standing out. Therefore, think about this when planning what activity to do next, or when filling out your activity section with the ones you already have done. Finally, keep dreaming and see you soon.